Brenton,
Yeah, what?
why did you set an alarm before sunrise?
So Nathan,
Hi, Brenton.
countries we have travelled to.
Ooh. I like this topic.
Well, I bring this up because watching the film we're going to talk about this week, I realised, well, I knew this beforehand. It wasn't like a huge revelation, but I've never been to Europe.
Oh, really?
life.
That's all. I'm sure a lot of people haven't been to Europe.
Yes. So I wanted to kind of discuss where we've been in the world. And where kind of, our favourite places to go and travel and where we want to go.
Oh, what a lovely topic. That could be a whole episode because
I know.
This is like when you in my experience, at least when you backpack around the world and you meet other travelers, that's like the number one thing you all talk about. Like you all just trade in like travel stories about where to go and what to do and that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I've had this conversation many a time, Mr. Brenton.
Oh, well, we are going to have that, but with some classic banter to go
Oh,
along
some
with
good
it.
banter. Get cultured.
Oh!
Yeah, I've done Europe. I've done Europe twice, and I've been very lucky to do it. The first time I did it when I was 15, I went on a tour with the high school you and I went to, and I did an art tour. So I was in year 10, and I was studying art, and the school does this trip where you can go to like Spain and Italy, and they're all like, oh, you can go to museums and like see like Picasso and that kind of stuff. That's what they say on paper. In reality, you just want to go around Spain and Italy, just like have fun.
Yeah.
So like that was a really fun trip, and I adored Spain, and I even loved Italy more. But I feel like when you get a bunch of 15-year-olds on a school trip, like it's just havoc, Brenton. It's just pure havoc.
And the best thing about those school trips is well, it's just kind of interesting that, there's probably 30 kids or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 teachers.
That's it.
And,
That's exactly it.
So it's like they have 15 young people each in a foreign country. In a huge city. It's like kids just go wild.
And
I'm not even gonna try. just be back before before sunset,
And
Ooh.
good movie pun.
Ooh.
But it's true, and like I remember, like my fondest memory from going there, like it wasn't actually like seeing like the Colosseum or like seeing Pompeii or anything like that. This happened all in one day.
Is this the leather jacket story?
This is not the leather jacket story.
Oh, damn it.
I know. I will tell that story.
One day soon.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a good story. But so we're in Venice, and we went to the Venice Biennale, which is like the Olympics of the art world. So it's where all these different countries rock up in Venice, and they choose an artist, and they're like, here's a stick, but it's a metaphor for death, and everyone votes on it and says if it's excellent or not. So we were there, and we get Independence. It's like the size of a suburb in Venice, like the art exhibition, and you walk around. And I remember I was with a couple of our friends, like Lily and Laura, Jazz, Tom. Yeah, all these random people from our grade. And we went to get lunch. And at the counter, you can get chips and that kind of stuff, but I wanted a drink. And so I'm like, oh, can I please have some Sprite? And there was like this, like, I don't know, young Italian bloke behind the counter. And he's like, che cosa? And I'm like, Sprite. And he's like, plastitore, or whatever Italian it is. And so he walks off, and then he comes back, and he has this like full like large cup, like really large cup, like filled with this orange kind of liquid. And I'm like, this doesn't look like a Sprite. But he already took my money, and so I'm like, well, it's probably just like Fanta or something like that. So I pick it up and I walk away with it. Instead of Sprite, he heard Spirit. and I to this point had not drunk before. So I had sips of beer and that kind of stuff as a kid, but like never actually drunk a Spirit before. And so I sit down, and everyone's looking at this thing in my hand, and they're like, what's that, Nathan? I'm like, Fanta? And I give it a sip, and I'm like, nope, that's alcohol. And we all get really excited. And so we start all passing around the cup, and we finish this like cup of spirits, and we're like, woo! And we start like running around like this like little...
What was it? Was it like scotch or something? Or
I actually don't clue what it was. It's like a cocktail kind of thing. It tasted like vodka, gin... Like recalling on it now, but I remember I had no idea what any of these spirits tasted like, so it's only from memory. It's like vodka, gin, some like orange liqueur.
So I'm trying to think of something that's like bright orange. That's
like bright orange.
That you would think
like,
is Fanta, yeah.
Yeah, like exactly, like that kind of thing. And so we were just running around the suburb, just like off our face, just like, even though we had like sips each, like always sips, and we're just like, we have alcohol, woo! And then that night we went back to our hotel, and a couple of the year 11 and 12 kids were like, oh, hey, we're gonna go, so here's the thing, the art teachers were like, oh, we're all gonna go to bed now at like 8 o'clock, you kids can just stay in your rooms and just read, or draw with some crayons, or whatever kids do these days.
Yes, yeah.
Movie Banter. And so we were just, and so the teachers like go back to their rooms, and we're like, fuck that, we're not going to sit around in our rooms. So like we all went into like one person's room and there was like 20 kids. and then we all just like had chats, and then one of them's like, okay, we're going to get some bottles of spirits. And so we're like, oh, that's awesome. Because then you have to be like 16 or something like that in Italy. Or
yeah,
I think
it's quite...
look at their IDs, frankly.
It's quite young, yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the kids...
The age of consent is quite young there too, isn't it? Like
yeah. What's that on your mind, Brenton? No?
Sorry?
Why is that on your mind?
Oh, I was just thinking, because I was just thinking like their drinking age is younger, and as well, because I remember there was that
it's
controversy.
interesting, isn't it?
There was that controversy around, what was the film? Call Me By Your Name. That
Oh,
it was like,
yeah, that's
because it was
right.
set... Where was that set? It
That
might have been Florence or something.
Oh, I don't know.
And it was, yeah. There was... Anyway, don't worry, all good. Keep going. Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, it's all good. I brought that up, and I actually had nothing to add to the conversation.
okay.
It was just like, I'm pretty sure the age of consent is also quite young, but yes.
Yeah. So the kids go out and they grab these bottles of vodka and they come back, and one of the boys who did it was a very, very flamboyant man who was very, very gay, called Sam. And do you remember Sam in The Great Above Us?
Yes.
Wonderful human. And so he came back up with a couple of bottles of vodka, and he was stereotypically gay in that kind of sense. He was he was like, let's get drunk, and like he was like popping open the corks, and he was like pouring into all our cups. We were like, woo! And we were all getting drunk. And then later on that night, one of the boys kept on pouring drinks for Sam, which he interpreted as, oh, this guy likes me. This guy called Potty.
Right, yeah.
And
This guy called...
Potty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so the night ended with Sam literally chasing Tom around the room saying, let's kiss. And we're all kind of just like drinking, just like a little bit out of it. And we're just watching him like kind of tackle him to the floor. We're like, oh no. And we're trying to pull the two of them apart. And we're just like, man, Italy's just like, it's a really sexual country, isn't it? And Sam's like, yeah, it just really charges you up. And we're like, let's get you to bed, buddy. And so when I think of Italy, I think of that.
Yeah, right.
But Europe in general, I went backpacking there for 4 months when I was 19, and it's gorgeous. It's like, it's fantastic. There are no, like, most of the countries don't care if you're from another country. Like,
yeah, what blows me away about Europe is kind of that whole idea that you walk across the street and you're in another completely different culture, country, a different place, and everything kind of changes, but you've just walked across the street. Whereas here in Australia, it's just one big continent/country. It's not. There's nothing that really connects us to the rest of the world.
It's an empty ass continent. Like,
where it's like over there, it's just like, oh, I'm here today. I'm here in France. Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
I took a train once from Switzerland to Hungary. And I went from Switzerland through Liechtenstein through Austria to Hungary, and it was like, I don't know, like a whole day train or something like that. I remember just passing through like different areas of the country and be like, okay, now I'm in Liechtenstein. Oh, now I'm in Austria. And then like there's ski fields over there. Whoop, no, now we're in a city. And it's just,
oh my gosh, yeah.
And the language always changes, and they'd always announce in a different in different language, because you go from like German to like Hungarian, and you just be like, this is amazing. Like, oh, it's so cool.
Did you like change as well? Did you go from German to Hungarian?
I did actually, Brendan. I went from German accent, and then I went to I can't do a Hungarian accent.
Like literally, as you crossed the border, like it wasn't even by your choice. It just happened.
Oh no,
literally.
It just happens. Like you got a little bit extra hair on you because you turn Hungarian, or like I was trying to find Hungarian hotel, but they didn't have any there, so I was just.
Drats, yeah.
I know, I was keen for that dragon.
Yeah, better tell Hagrid, yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was rocked up in Budapest, and I'm like, what do I know about Hungary? And I'm like, well, I used to make lots of Hungry jokes when I was a kid. But apart from that, I was just like, they have the dragon. Budapest is pretty dope. That's it. Oh yeah, I kept on singing Budapest, that song. It's like, da 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 Budapest, da da.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, my extent of traveling has actually been somewhere else. It's been in the United States.
Oh, nice.
And I've been there twice. So,
oh, wicked.
Yeah, and that's a fun place. That's an interesting place.
It's very different to what, from an Australian perspective, it's very different from what you see in the media, isn't it?
Yes and no. Like, in what sense what we see in the media?
Well, it's not. From a tourist perspective, at least, when you're there as a tourist, I don't think it's as tumultuous as I think sometimes the media can say, or the Americans aren't as dramatic as I think as Australian media might portray.
I think the Americans are quite, very upfront and open and let's say
very
and
proud as well.
Yeah,
like, very
proud is the way to
be
proud,
American, yeah.
proud and loud is the way I put it, and I mean that in a positive way.
Yeah.
So yeah, to a certain extent, it's right, but I get what you're saying. Like the nuances of it aren't they're not as, let's say, brash, I'd say, as the media maybe makes them out to be. Because it's Americans are lots of fun in that sense.
Oh, I love it.
And there's lots and lots of lovely people in the United States as well. In fact, like I encountered like so many just awesome people when you travel to the States, and conversations you'd have, with people and everyone was obviously interested in Australia.
That's what I love. I love that Americans love Australia.
They just they love it, dude. I remember I was in this resort outside of Disney World, and we were in the pool, and this American girl just kept questioning us about Australia. She was so interested, and specifically, she asked me like 6 times whether it was true that we caught instead of catching the bus to school, each of us had a private kangaroo for our household, and we would ride the kangaroo into school, and be in its pouch.
And obviously, you told her yes, right?
I told her yes every time. I was like, yeah, of course. And then I even named my kangaroo. Like it was so funny. I think it was like Samantha's my kangaroo, and I hop in the pouch and she just takes me to school. She was like, "So that's true?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." Like,
what?
I was like, "Well, why not? It's on our coat of arms." It's like,
did you notice when you were over there? Like, did you go between states?
Yeah.
So I think there's actually a decent parallel between going between different countries in Europe to different states in America.
True, but I don't know. I never like crossed the border necessarily. Like I
you didn't physically walk between states.
Exactly. Yeah. So like when you fly, it's still like it's quite it's a big country, so it's the flights take a long time. I mean, we went down to Florida and whatnot. And Florida's so interesting. Oh gosh. Yeah. Florida's like just going like outside of like Orlando and kind of the big places, let's say, but like seeing like kind of the countryside, let's say, of Florida and the swampland and whatnot, and just like it's such an interesting experience.
So yeah, Europe and America.
Yeah. There we go.
Give them
two
a
sides
visit.
of the coin. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the episode where we actually talk about movies.
Yeah, I know. This is a movie podcast, so we should remember that. Just like, no, just Nathan Brandon just having a beer, just chatting for a while. But
well, you said it yourself, that topic could have filled a whole episode.
Easy. Yeah.
But
we're both men of the world. We both travelled and seen cultures.
We've seen many things. Many things.
Many things. And we're about to see some more in this episode with a wonderful film from. Well, it's your pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, well, so this
segue
week,
us in naturally. Mr.
This week
Benton.
we're talking about Before Sunrise, the Richard Linklater film released in 1995.
As we record this episode before sunrise.
Ooh,
convenient.
If you didn't know.
Aha.
So here we go. Here's my pitch.
All right. Pitch me this movie.
So, have you ever had a fantasy of being in a foreign land?
Yes.
And meeting, just having an instant connection with someone, and then throwing all caution to the wind and finding the courage to have the most romantic getaway over one evening?
Oh, a man can only dream, Brenton.
Well, I say watch this film, and you'll see that dream become a reality. Ethan Hawke plays Jesse, an American who is in Vienna. Oh, well, he's on a train from Budapest through to Paris, and he's getting off the train to stop at Vienna to catch a plane.
From train to plane
back to America. But on this train, he comes across the lovely, what is her name? Celine, that's it. I was going to say Cecile, and I was like, that is not a name.
Cecile B. DeMille, like she's suddenly on the train for some weird reason.
That is not the name. Celine, who is French. She's a French woman who is traveling to Paris to obviously go back to her school.
Get back to her country.
Yeah. And so they form a little connection. And this connection is a strong one, I think. So Jesse
the force is strong with this one.
So Jesse invites her off the train to join him for one passionate night in Vienna to get to know each other and to see where things go. And we go along with these two for that evening, before the sun rises, to see whether or not this couple will last the night or even longer.
Ooh.
We don't know. But we will find out when we watch Before Sunrise.
Hey!
So yeah.
I'm hooked. It's a romance movie we're doing this week.
Dude.
So
Yes.
The flowers are blossoming. We're in the season of love.
They're coming out.
Oh, well, we are in spring in Australia, so it makes sense. Yeah.
Oh gosh, those allergies just get in my way. They're not helping.
After we do our next 7 seasons episode, we should just do a really sad breakup film for winter, just so.
Oh my god, we should totally do that. Yeah.
Even though summer in Australia is the season that comes after it, but anyway.
So let's as I like to say, let's rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. Well, the pile's getting bigger, so we'll add that to the.
We should really throw that pile out.
Just stop getting paper cuts, Bren. You're just hurting yourself, frankly.
It's not hygienic. Like, look at it.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of mold on it.
I tried moving it the other day, but it physically won't move. Like, it's actually quite concerning.
Yeah. It's like it's becoming like the symbiote from Venom. It's like it's starting to, life is forming on that, and
You'll see me with the black suit suddenly when you come over next. Like
and this tongue will come out and devour you. Yep.
Oh no.
Yep. So let's, as I said,
what do you reckon about this film? How do you like it?
You know what? It took me a little while to decide.
Ooh.
Because this is not a perfect film. No film's a perfect film. But I think that for me personally, the negatives, and there's definitely some negatives in this. I think the positives do outweigh the negatives at the end and inch it over to say that I like this movie. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what do you like about this film?
Okay, so I think obviously Richard Linklater as a director.
That's our fact of the week.
As a director, like, I'm not the biggest fan of his, if I'm being honest.
I haven't seen much of his work. What else has he done? He's done Boyhood. He's done
School of Rock.
That's
my favourite film that he's done.
School of Rock. Amazing. Yeah.
And he's done the Before trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So and this very much feels it feels like a Linklater film. It feels like that Boyhood, that's something that takes its time. There's not much of a plot to it. The plot is so minimalist. It's more about these characters. And
there isn't a... Well, yeah, the plot as a whole, the premise is just like, are they going to get together?
That's it, yeah. And it's more, let's get two people and let's get to know them over the course of it, literally a night, and will they get together? And that's the big, I guess, hook of the film. Is it a strong hook? I don't know. It depends on the person. Depends on you. For me, I like the characters. I wouldn't say it's the biggest hook necessarily. By the end of it, I do care about these characters. So, I mean,
kudos to Richard Linklater for making a whole film based around one conversation.
Yes,
like that is a feat.
And kudos to the two actors as well, who are both terrific, and even more terrific together. I think they've just got great chemistry.
Amazing chemistry. Some of the best chemistry you'll ever see in film. Like you so buy into this couple. You're just like, you think they're in love with in real life. I was surprised when I found out the actors weren't married. I was just like, I mean, obviously Ethan Hawke was with Uma Thurman at the time. I'm like, oh no, he did well. But like, Julie Dempsey is like, she's phenomenal, and like she's cutely French. Like she's but she's not stereotypically French.
Yeah,
and,
no, she's not. Yeah,
she's also self-aware. So like she talks about her Frenchness, and he talks about his Americanness. So like, it's not like American boy meets French girl. Like they're very complex people, and they're very in their early 20s.
Yes,
or even mid 20s maybe. But
I think it's mid 20s, but it is that time of like, it's like they're in that stage of they're still in that like kind of romanticized idea of what it is to like be in a relationship and still like trying things and meeting people.
Also to be in the world.
But and also, but they're still coming under that thing. And I think it is mid 20s because it's like, oh shit, like this is real and you don't want to lose it and you want to.
Yeah, they understand the value of when you find that spark.
That's it. Yeah.
Because I remember I'm like 22, so I haven't lived that long, but like I remember. When I first learned that lesson, like when you really spark with someone, you hold on to that shit. Like, unless of course the relationship's terrible, but like it is so rare to really like love and have a spark with someone. And God, it doesn't mean everything once you have it.
Yeah.
So like, and you hear that thing like, oh, everyone, you do anything for love. Like you really do. And you watch these two characters kind of learn that over the course of the night. Because they both talk about their experiences with love, and I really think this is for them the first time they've really given it all, and they really dive into it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I think there's like, for me, there's three major pillars of positivity in this film. It's like their performances and their chemistry and the characters. So that's all the actors, and the second thing is the screenplay.
Yeah.
I think the screenplay is really strong.
Their actual combos are good.
Those conversations are great. Like, they're really strong.
And they're not just monologuing, they're always like telling stories about their lives. Because you think that's an obvious direction to go in.
Yeah, and then I think the third thing that kind of ties it all together, the third positive thing, is that, like, I hate to say that this feels so real, but it does. I'm going to say it feels genuine. Like, this film. Like, it feels like these are genuine people in a genuine scenario, and
it's just like Richard Linklater's just like stalking this young couple around Vienna.
He's
just like, we're actually not actors. Like, we just found them and just put mics on them. Like,
yeah.
It feels like cinema. If we want to sound fancy, it sounds like if we want to sound fancy, it sounds like cinema verite. I think it's called. Like, there's like a style of like films.
Verbatim.
It's like cinema verite. That's like this type of film.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's like it's completely real and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which leads me kind of to the negatives, and I think the biggest negative is just the minimalist plot in itself, and also that just leads it to, because it's not even that the film takes its time. It just means that, like, it's one of those films that you're going to check your watch in, I think.
Yeah.
It's not.
Funnily enough, I didn't. Like,
but I think it's.
You know what? You need to be invested in the film.
That's it.
If you don't buy the couple, like, if in the first 20 minutes, like, yeah.
I think people will buy this couple. I don't think there's a question of that. I think it's more a question of, like, where is this, like, this is just the night, and it's not going to enthrall everyone. For me, like, I like it, but I'm aware that, like, if we're talking about on the Thursday night, if you're going to sit down with your mates and watch a film, or sit down with your significant other or whatever, like, I don't know.
Well, let's not rate it just yet.
I know.
Let's sewer on it a little bit, because I don't know. I think I think there is a lot going on in this film. Like there is no plot, but like it's very intricate. It's like watching an episode of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Like it's entirely character driven, and so there's a lot of nuance. And there's a scene where they go to a music shop and you watch them both just kind of physically react to each other, like the looks that they give each other, and it is like they're acting their asses off, and like you have to really read into the subtext of what's going on in the scenario to get it. So like on surface, it probably doesn't look as though there's much going on, but if you really pay attention, there's a lot of like tennis going back between A and B, and you gotta try and at different times of the film they want different things from each other, and they're expecting different responses from each other, and it's like, and you're watching like the start of a relationship, and so. I don't know, that part of it for me was interesting.
And I will say this as well, that like I don't think I've ever watched. I think like this is the fastest I've ever like become like, let's say, attached to a set of characters. It was like within the first probably minute and a half that I was on board with these two. Like, it was instant. I was like, yes, like. It's just amazing, like, how fast that chemistry just hits, and then you're just on board. Yeah.
And it's
literally, because the film starts on a train.
But no, it's funny because like this is the first film you and I have talked about on the podcast that we've both seen. So we actually had both already seen this film, because normally we like to go in blind and we like to watch a film we haven't seen yet. But but we both wanted to talk about this film because this week is the week that Richard Linklater's new film comes out. So we thought this would be a perfect time to talk about it because, you know, Linklater's all been talked about. So that's how we get more views, Brenton, frankly. Like, we become trending. But no, and like, I know, when I first saw this film, I have a little bit of bias towards this film because when I first saw this film, I watched it last year for the first time with my girlfriend at the time. She was deeply in love with these films, and she's like, "How have you not seen these films?" And so we were watching it in bed together, and because like we're in love and like that couple's in love, like you really really feel for it. And I feel like this would be a perfect film to watch with your partner. But like, and we watched all three of them like back to back to back, and like there are sequels, so which kind of in a way spoils what direction these films go in.
But I will say this: even if there wasn't a sequel, this film is great by itself.
Oh, absolutely! As a standalone film for sure.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like
it
that
ends
ending,
well.
It's got a great ending. Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't end the way you think it would first time viewing it. Like truly, like it does unique and surprising things with this couple. And also this is also a love letter to Vienna.
Oh yeah.
Like if you have any inclination to go to Europe, if you've been to Europe, and obviously not every European city is the same, but you know, and it feels so typical because Vienna is the city of love, but like it is like they just encounter random Austrians who just. I don't know, that just reflects an aspect of them and a lesson that they can learn about how to be in love. And I don't know, it makes you feel sweet. And I like this film. It makes you, especially compared to like Halloween last week. Like,
Oh
to
gosh,
go,
yeah.
to go from like Jamie Lee Curtis to this is so refreshing.
I guess my point is that like there are the negatives of the film like are not even negatives. They're obvious negatives because doing a film in this style and doing the way that Richard has done it, it's just gonna lead on, unfortunately, for it to like. And it's because I'm on board, you're on board, but I feel like for some people this film's going to drag a little.
Yeah, and people see. I was lucky when I started the film. My girlfriend told me this entire film was just a conversation.
Yeah,
and you need to know that going
exactly.
in. Like,
yeah,
you are literally just watching two people talk. It's almost like you're listening to a podcast.
Exactly.
It's like if you and I, Brenton, just did an episode where we just walk around Vienna doing this. It's like,
which we could do. We could do that as a special sometime. If you guys are interested, tweet at us.
We'll fly to Vienna. We'll do it, and then at the end we'll like fall asleep in like a park and just be like, oh no. So you got to know that going in. But like classic criteria, Thursday night on Netflix, you put it on. Yeah, I would. I really would.
Yep.
Should we rate the movie?
Yeah. Well. Yep. Let's rate it. You go first because you're already in the zone.
I'm giving it a thumbs up, and it's funny because I feel like if you listen to this podcast, if you listen for a couple of these episodes, I probably wouldn't normally put my thumbs up to this because like I'm trying to think of like Joe Blow or like Samantha Doyle, like a random person seeing if they get enjoyment out of this. I think they would. I think even like I feel like a teenager would. I feel like an adult would, like an old couple would. The reason I'm saying it is that if they know they're going to be down, I think, you know what? Don't go in expecting a movie. Go in expecting like your third wheeling on a lunch date, and I think that's what you'll get out of it.
Yeah, well, my thumbs are up as well for this.
So you are swinging on the pro, like
no, of course. I said that at the start. I was the positives of this film like outweigh its negatives for sure.
Yeah.
And the negatives debatably aren't even negatives. It's just an outcome of doing a film in this style.
Is it just like the fact that there's no plot and it's just a conversation? Is that
no? It's not that. I think that leads to that. There's a few pacing issues because obviously the conversations have ebbs and flows, and
some are more interesting than others, by the way.
That's right. And so like in some of the
conversations, they talk about everything.
Some of the conversations I just found myself like, because again I've seen this film before. I was like, I'd check my phone or something, and that's not a negative. It's almost as if like in real life, we walk around and like when something's not as enthralling that's happening or whatnot, like you check your phone or you do something and then you come back to the conversation.
But here's the thing. Tangent time. I do not support people being on their phones during movies. Like, I'm a big no against it. Like, when I'm at the cinema or when I'm, like, watching movies with mates and that kind of stuff, I'm like, nah. I'm always like, you're in this world, like, stay in this world. Like...
Yeah, but that's unfortunately, yeah, like, I agree. If you're in a cinema and you're paying to be in a cinema, that's a different story. Whereas if you're at home, that's a different environment. It's in a home environment, it's not, you're not in a cinema. But that's not... As I guess that's not on me to be like, oh, I must be in this world. That's up to the movie to draw me in. If I'm in the cinema, I'm not going to check my phone. But if I'm sitting on the couch and watching a movie and there's a break in the movie, that there's clearly a break is my point. And then I check the time, I do something like it's.
I don't know.
I'm telling you that's probably something to do with the film's pacing or something that the film's doing that I'm not enthralled and being pulled in. At the same time, like I said, though, I don't think that's necessarily a negative. I just think that's something that the film's doing, yeah.
But I feel like if you're on your smartphone, you're not giving the movie a chance to draw you back in, like when you go to check your phone.
Well, no, because my point was that the film still did draw me in.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm always like, when I like read a book, I put my phone away. When I like, watch a TV episode, I put my phone away. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just like the old one out. But like, I'm in this world. This is escapism. Like, I'm going to be in there. And when I draw my phone out, I'm like, if I'm bored shitless, I'm like, then why am I watching this film in the first place? Like, if I'm ever watching a film, maybe I'm the extreme, but whenever I watch a film and I have to touch my phone because I'm that out of the game, then I'm like, this film has lost me. I quit then and there.
I guess it's just different perspectives in that sense because
It's almost like different opinions, like different people.
Well, because like I paused this film at certain stages so I could take notes and stuff and do things like that as well.
Well, that's more like on the podcast side. Like we have a job to do.
No,
like.
but and that's what I'm saying. Like it's not
like viewers at home. Like no, we have to do that. Like
it's not. I feel like, and when I was watching this, I guess that the feeling that it was instilling in me was that it was just a normal conversation, and like I said, a normal conversation has ebbs and flows.
Did you check your phone more than usual in this film?
Yeah, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Then.
Yeah, and like so.
So if you're a phone movie person, then be aware of that. Like,
and like so for me, that's kind of irregular. Like I don't know. I felt like it was worth mentioning, but I don't even know if it's necessarily a negative. But I feel it is because like again, this film is a whole conversation, and you have to know that going in, and it's not. The pacing's never gonna take off, or this film still has a beginning, middle, end. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like, it's still structurally.
There's like nothing happens in the film. Like there are things that like
structurally,
happen.
there's things, there's big events that happen.
There's a great side plot about some people that they meet.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not. It's subtle, is my point, I guess. Yeah, and so you have to.
So go in with a glass of wine, expecting some high art, and have a good time with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thumbs up. Okay.
So yeah, thumbs up. This is really good. Yeah,
it's a really good time, and definitely watch it with your partner and with everyone that you love. But just watch it with just it's a celebration of love. Just watch it with everyone that you love. Now I want to talk about, when it comes to spoilers, the most important spoiler of them all, which is the hair. I don't know why I've been on such a hair tangent lately, but can we just talk about how Ethan Hawke's hair is amazing this film? Like
sure, yeah.
Because you got Joey Pants. Like Joey looks amazing, like Celine, and she looks beautiful. But Ethan Hawke, he's just got that cool like 90s like sweater on, like that when he's first in the train with like that like orange turtleneck and that kind of stuff.
And then he puts the leather jacket on afterwards. Yeah, man.
And he looks so cool. And he's like just walking around Europe, and I'm just like, damn, like I want to look like
that
Ethan
mid-length hair that's kind of like
there's like no shits about it. Just keeps pushing it back.
It's it's kind of like greasy enough that like it'll just sit in place like on his head, like it doesn't blow in the wind. It's just kind of chills there. Yeah.
Like when we meet him, he looks so cool, and she looks so great, and I love like how they suddenly they're just sitting on the train, and like they look cool. Like there's that arguing German couple, and they're just like, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that, by the way. What a great way to just like talk to someone, just be like, oh, that couple's pretty fucked. Am I right? Like,
yeah. Do you speak German? What are they talking about? Like
You're so smooth picking her up. Like.
Oh well. What I like about him is that it's kind of that thing, like he hasn't done this before. I don't think.
No. Yeah.
In this scenario, like he hasn't done this before, and so like it's so subtle, like his performance, that he's very unsure, and you can see himself like really working himself up to talk to this girl, and even like once they get off the train, it's still that awkward moment of. Oh, like you just got off a train to Paris to like come hang out with me.
It's a nice train, by the way. Like, Europe has such nice trains, don't they? You compare that to like Australian trains, like the shitty trains we have here in Sydney.
Tap your Opal card.
You and I, we've ranted heavily about trains on this podcast. So like,
yes, we have.
To see that, you can't imagine bloody Minecraft kids on those trains.
I was going to say like I didn't spot any Minecraft kids in this film.
We saw like 1995. There's like a weird time travel plot.
Yeah,
like.
that instantly adds 5 points to my score.
But and how great is it when early on in that conversation he says like, oh, just think 10 years ahead, he's like, oh, just imagine yourself in 10 years, and I'm like, oh, that's the sequel, like I was just like, oh, foreshadowing. And it's, you know what, because after seeing all 3 films, I'm going to talk about this in hindsight, like seeing them young, like it, like obviously watch this film because it's great, but once you've seen all 3, go back to watch this first film, because you notice so many things that just make it way more rich. You're like, oh, it's like when we used to finish like Harry Potter and you go back to watch the first one, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
when Ron who meets Hermione, and you're like, oh, it's just like an awe film.
This I want to talk about. There's not many spoilers I really want to spoil necessarily that I feel like warrants talking about. There's a couple. It's very hard
to spoil this film, truly.
There's a couple. The fact that they don't go to the play.
Oh my god!
It's so
I'm so glad you brought that up.
And there's two guys that are just like on the bridge there, and they awkwardly bring up the fact that they're like they're like part of this like amateur company.
Because how does the convo start? Like, how do they first meet them?
They say, "Hey guys, like
oh yeah, what's good to do in town?" That's right.
We're here for a night. We're only here for just this night. Is there anything to do in town? They're like, "What the fuck?"
And they bump into the fucking actors, like
yeah. And then and the way they sell the show is so funny. Like they're so awkward about it, and they're like, "Oh, just we should come to our show." And then like, "What's the show about?" And then you just kind of see the look of dread pass over their actors' faces. Like, they're like, it's about this cow. Like, I'm the cow. Yes, I play the cow in the show.
It's so good because I don't think the play's in English. It must be in German or something like that. Like,
it's so great. And then
they're both being very polite about it.
That's
as well.
right. Yeah,
like,
and
they're like, maybe.
They spend a lot of time on that moment though. What's funny though, and then so it's almost like you kind of half expect it to come up again because there's so much emphasis, I guess, put on that little scene. And even if it didn't come up again, like it's still a good scene on its own. That it's like it's still fun. But the fact that like they just like Jesse has the realization of, oh, we didn't go to the play.
Yeah, I was waiting for that the whole film because I'm like,
so good
because there's so many scenes like they go to the cafe and they go to the music store and all that kind of stuff afterwards. And I remember thinking like, are they going to see the play? Like when I first watched it, I'm like, maybe like it'd be so great if at the end they tie it back and suddenly they just randomly end up at the play or something. They're the cow, like both of them just walk backstage and the actors are sick. And then he's like to Celine, like, I guess we got to be the cow now. And he puts on like the suit.
Oh my god!
And she's like, this is where I didn't see our night heading. He's like, quick, it's encore. We got to go back out there. And they're like, who was this?
In
couple?
some alternate universe, that is happening in this film.
I also love in the conversation that there's one point where the Germans are like, oh, it's at like 21:30, and she's like, oh, 21:30, and there's like, oh, 9:30 p.m. And I'm like, who the fuck doesn't know 24-hour time?
No, he asks. He says, oh, 21:30, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Pretty sure maybe Americans don't have...
They use 24-hour time, like... When he said, I'm like, mate, like, where did you grow up? It's just... Because you never find out what any of them do. Like, that's what I love about them as a couple. They never ask, like, what do you do? What do you want to do with your life? It's never like the stereotypical when you, like, first date kind of questions. Like, they never once talk about their careers or anything like that. It's just, they're just like, oh, what's your opinion on, like... your first love, or like, what's your opinion on like death, or like just like heavy topics. Or
they
like,
get to the point.
Yeah, they get very,
and for the film's sake, they kind of have to because like
it's true though.
If it was just like the first half of the film was like the small talk, and then they really got into it, we'd be taking a toilet break.
Yeah,
let's just say, yeah,
it's true. And like, I love the physicality, like as they go. So because like the conversations are kind of interesting, but like I love it's the physicality between the two that sells them. Like I love it when they're on the tram and like they're talking and like he goes like to lean in to pull back her hair, but then like she turns and so he has to like pretend he was like combing his hair or something like that. Like there's little moments like that, or like when they're in the music booth in the music store and they pick that record and she's like, oh yeah, I think we can listen to this, and they both take turns like staring at each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you just love them, don't you?
Oh, like of course. I mean,
it just melts.
What's impressive about those two scenes in particular is that they're both just like static one-shot takes. Like in that tram scene, like the camera doesn't cut ever. It's just they get on the tram and we stay with them in that whole take.
Inaritu suddenly takes hold of the camera.
And then the same thing. It's like the same thing with the music booth. They get in and it just holds on them in that moment, and we just see like them like trying to work out that situation.
And you're just like, kiss, kiss.
They spend so long, like, and it's credit to Richard. I mean, he
credit to old mate Richard.
Just not cutting away like that. That's sometimes that pays off and sometimes it doesn't, and in this case it was warranted. And again, like I feel like with these actors and the performances they're giving and the chemistry they have, like it'd be very difficult to cut away if it's a good take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
just keep rolling. Yeah, it's great,
just
guys.
keep rolling.
Great.
Like because that's what this film is. It's not. It doesn't.
Do you reckon Richard Linklater just wanted an excuse to go to Vienna? He's just like, I just really want to go, guys. And he's like, come on, Ethan, let's just go and we'll say you guys are in love. Just have conversations. Like, they're literally just having conversations.
This is an interesting episode because, like, I'm talking about this film, like, as a film on its own. And it's worth talking about a film on its own. But it's funny for me, like, comparing this trilogy to something like Boyhood. Because it's doing the same thing. We're stopping...
I haven't seen Boyhood.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
I know the premise, so like you can talk about it. But
let's just say that like they're both like achieving the same goals. Boyhood's just doing it in one film.
Yeah,
that we just follow this.
Whereas it's like every like 9 years we see this couple. Like
exactly. But
so spoiler alert, they get together. Like
but
actually they don't. That's the end.
At the end of this film, they don't get together. No. Well, they will.
They promise to get together.
They promise to get together. Yeah. But in Boyhood, I feel like, gosh, I say like this is a bit pacey, and like, you know, Boyhood's really pacey. Like it really,
because you watch a kid grow up in one film. So
exactly. Yeah. So it's
like throwing popcorn at the screen to Ethan Hawke, like, "Oi, get older."
So yeah, I feel like that this series kind of achieves achieves that, and for me, like that's like, I don't know, because I'm kind of with your ex-girlfriend in the sense that like I really have these films hold a special place in my heart for that reason. Like they're pretty special and incredible in what they achieve, because there's nothing else that's really like this.
No,
you know?
God no. And like that's why they're so iconic. Like they really show the process of aging. But as a standalone film, even though these characters age one night, they grow up so much with each other in the one night. Like they learn a lot from each other. Like it inspires you to have a romance like that.
Exactly. Like
you look at your own partner, it's like, we got to do better.
It's one night, and it's hard to believe it sometimes. You feel like you've been in Vienna for a week.
You do.
To some extent, you know? And
this is coming from someone who actually has been in Vienna for a week.
It's a good film. The last kind of spoiler thing we got to talk about, I guess, is
I got heaps.
Is kind of the ending. Just forget the two sequels for the moment, but the way this film ends is just so brilliant. If it was just like with the sequels as well, but like as a standalone, it does that. It stands alone. It's like,
because you never expect it, because like they get together and, you know, they're lying on the grass and he's just like, oh yeah, like I love the way she's like, I don't want to sleep with you, and he's like, yeah, and he like plays it off so cool. He's like, yeah, we'd have to sleep together, and like you can tell he generally doesn't care about the sex. Like he's just like, they've grown up so much, like who cares about sex at this point?
Exactly.
But like,
they also have that great scene in the restaurant where they both rationalize. You know, that they're being adults and they're going to rationalize, and this is just the last night, and that's fine, and that's good. We've come to terms with that.
They get to the train stop.
They get to the train stop.
Like, oh shit!
2 steps away from getting on the train. It's like, I don't want this to end. Me either. What the fuck?
And they both like weep over each other.
And then I love as well that they don't give each other their contact details.
Yeah, what the hell? It's like 1995. Like, here's the thing. Like, I guess because it sets up the premise for the next film quite well. But obviously they wouldn't have known that back in 95 when they made the first one. They didn't even know they were going to get a sequel. But like, they say goodbye to each other. They don't give email addresses, mailing addresses, anything, like no form of contact, but it's deliberate because Ethan Hawke like says like, oh, should we like, you know, talk to each other on the phone and something like that? And she's like, no. She's like, fuck that, hard 6 months, no contact, and then we'll meet up. Like,
yeah, which I like. I mean, like if we're being rational adults, maybe she should have given him like a number or something, put it in an envelope and said, don't open this. But if there's an emergency...
Yeah. It's like, I know I just met you for one night and like it costs like thousands of dollars to do this again. So like, maybe just send a email before you fly over just to double check we're both on the same page. Like,
yeah.
Let's not talk for 6 months. And it's like, also, you just fell in love. Why not do long distance for 6 months and just email each other?
Well, they have that scene where they literally talk about long distance for 6 months or whatever it is. And
yeah,
they really, again, it's that thing like, oh, it's the hate thing. Like, because they, you know, what do you hate at the start? And it's one of those things like, yeah, we both hate that. We don't want to do that.
They both have lousy exes as well.
It's like they both know that it won't last if they do that. Yeah. They need to be together.
I do appreciate that. They're very realistic.
So like it does make sense, but it's still like, and I guess for like,
I love that fake phone call they have in the restaurant as well.
Oh my god, it's a great scene, isn't it? Yeah,
when they both like have the phone call, it's like
when they both kind of reveal those big kind of secrets, like the fact that he you know wasn't hanging around to catch the flight because it was cheap. He was hanging around because he was like literally lost and embarrassed and didn't want to go home and face kind of reality. That
rejection that he had from his ex-girlfriend.
Exactly, yeah. And
damn, that hit home. Hit home so well.
Yeah.
Because he's so, not cavalier, but he's so like just, you know, confident in this film with her, and then like you can just see he's so vulnerable in that moment.
And I feel like
it's almost a crime moment. Like you really feel for him.
But I mean, props to this moment because it's not a crime moment. There's no real big emotional bloody outbursts in this movie. They do discuss serious topics and personal topics, but they don't. It never goes into melodrama, let's say. No. It's always just very
smart for it,
to the point. And so, like, as an audience member, you really feel for them in those personal moments. So he says that, and then she reveals that she was ready to get off the train with him as soon as they met. Like, which is just a great moment.
I just
as well.
love it. She's like, yeah. It's like, I swiped right, and he's like, yeah. Isn't it wonderful in the age of Tinder that we live in to see like a real romance like this? Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just like, yeah. And
I mean,
not to bash on Tinder, but like, it's just, I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to see. It's like it is romantic in the sense you just meet someone in Europe. It's like why people go to Europe in the first place, to meet a European and fall in love and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, in Australia, I feel like, if you did this on the train, it just like, seriously, dude, it would not happen.
It would never happen.
This would not
Sydney
happen.
trains are the most fuck off environment you could be in.
If you had the confidence to do what Jesse does in this film, which I think you would. I'm not saying you would. I think you would. But I think if you did it, you would be met with someone that would look at you like you're a crazy creep.
I was really close once. Like, this was like when I first moved to Sydney. I was on the train. I didn't know any better. And I was on the trains, and there was this really, really pretty girl who was like sitting opposite me, and she gave me like a nice smile, and I gave her a nice smile back and that kind of stuff. And I was sitting there sweating, like, oh, do I talk to her and that kind of stuff? Like what do you say in a train and all that kind of stuff? And I had nothing to say. And then as I leant in, she literally, we were facing opposite each other, kind of like what you and I are doing now. As I leant in to like open my mouth and ask her like, or hey, like, are you, I don't know, on the way to work or something like that? She literally like raised, she could see I was about to do it, and she raised her phone at the head level in front of me and then just like started tapping. Yeah. So it wasn't like she was like looking down to tap on her phone. She literally held it up as a barrier to like hide behind it to cut off the eye contact, as if she was like taking a photo. And I'm like,
just slowly just straightened up.
And I leaned back and I'm like, ooh, I'm like, time to play the Minecraft. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's so much easier, I guess, for people, and it's sad. I mean this in a kind of a sad way, that it's sad that today that like it's easier for people to swipe right than actually like have to take that huge risk of like just doing that in person.
It's true.
Because it's like, I don't know anyone that happens to anymore.
No.
Like in terms of young couples that have just met out of the blue.
It still does happen these days, but it is very, very
It's very rare is my point, yeah.
And it reminds me of that quote that she says in the movie that I really loved, which was, if there's any kind of magic in the world, it must be attempting to understand someone. Yeah. And I thought, whoa, like, this chick's been in love before. Like it's true. And like, just the way they feed off each other. It reminds me that spark, like that we're talking about, like that's where it comes from. I really love that moment also when they do have the first kiss, because it takes a while, and then finally like at the Ferris wheel and they're all looking out, and then it just, they just kiss, and it's great, and they're both very surprised at how much they love it, and they just go back again, and like the rest of the film he's just spent kissing her. Like,
I love in that first kiss scene how she just hugs him.
Yeah,
she just embraces
so intimate,
him,
isn't it?
And it's
much better than like the Spider-Man kiss from like the Raimi trilogy. It's
I
like,
just wanted him to be upside down.
Like Ethan Hawke's just like hanging off the Ferris wheel, was like, look, and she's like, what?
She pulls back and he's like, out am I?
She just guesses it, like, I guess. Like, I still like you, kind of. Like, it's great because in the Spidey sequel he's going to be in Europe, so maybe we'll have another scene like that.
Oh my god, yes.
The next Spider-Man film is just him and Mary Jane like having a conversation.
Let's just have crossovers. Let's just have like in the background this couple's just like on the train, and you're just like, hey.
Yeah, it's literally just like they make a cameo. Like for some reason the Before trilogy is set in the MCU. Like,
yes, please.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Oh my god.
But no, and I love it like when they're sitting down in the park and he's like, oh, can I ask you something? And she's like, what? And he just like plants a kiss on her. I'm like, oh, the amount of times I've done that as a couple is just
and he's like, I've got a secret to tell you.
Oh yeah.
And she says, what? And he just
kisses her.
Plants one on her.
I'm like, you slide dog. Like, I love it. I absolutely adore the scene with the poet.
It's great. Poet. Yeah, milkshake. Yeah.
Yeah. And when she says milkshake, he looks so fucking angry. He's just like, milkshake, really? He's like, this bitch. He's just,
I'd totally do that, dude.
Yeah, you just fuck with him. You'd be like, yeah, make a poem out of a milkshake.
I'd say cockroach.
But then he says it, and it's a damn good poem. And like, do you reckon he made it up before? Because she says like, oh no, he probably just puts the word in a random lyric.
That's I think her point is more, does it matter? Yeah,
it doesn't matter, does it? No, but I love it. Like, and like he's a classic like homeless poet as well. Like he's just like the button like done up.
Oh my
shirt
god,
and,
the
like,
look of satisfaction he has when he gets his little tip is the funniest thing. He's like, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I also love it when they're in the cafe as well, right before that phone scene, and like it cuts to the different couples. So like there's like a 30-second scene where you just see all these different little conversations of like different couples, and then it cuts to them. Yeah, and it just means like what a legacy that they carry on. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I just thought it was like the little moments like that were smartly directed. But another one of my favorite scenes as well is where they go to the bar and he's like,
yes, steal the glasses, get the wine.
That's the thing. He's like, he's going up to this guy in Europe and he's like, look, like I just met this girl. I'll mail the money to you, and we both know he never will. As does the guy behind the counter. Like he knows. He's like, look, I'm in love with this girl, and she's just like sitting there like going, oh, like she's like waving in the background, and he's talking to her, and the guy's nice enough to actually give them a bottle of wine, but as he does it, she's fucking stealing from the restaurant.
Yeah, dude.
She steals the cups, and I'm like, this man has been kind enough to give you a bottle.
I think she steals like 4 glasses.
She steals like a table. She just walks out with chairs. He's like, what? But he has like he's generous enough to give a full bottle of wine, and then she just steals, and I'm like, well, come on, show a little bit of respect, like. But this was in a time before the euro, so I can imagine like when she got off on the train in Vienna, they literally didn't have Vienna money. So like, don't you feel grateful that Europe now has like the euro? It's like,
makes things easier, I imagine. Yeah,
yeah.
But
you'll know when you go over there, you'll be like, thank God it's all one currency. Like it'd be such a pain in the ass. Like, I pray the European Union never breaks up because it's just such a pain in the ass. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. And then and that's the thing. He says he'll give the guy money, but he never gets the bar's address. Did you notice this?
No, he doesn't get it.
And the bartender doesn't say anything about it. And I'm like, well, how are you going to send it? And I'm like, you bastard. But yeah.
I just want to say as well in terms of spoilers that the last goodbye and how they practice the last goodbye beforehand. So they say practice saying goodbye. He says goodbye, and then it's au revoir. And then later, like as in like the French,
and they do it twice.
The French and the American, and the last time they do it, like in the film, like when they, it's just such a great moment.
It melts your heart, doesn't it?
God damn, like and part of you like because like again excluding the sequels, like it's just such a good ending. Like, imagine walking out of the theater and just being like, having that discussion of like, oh, they're going to meet again in 6 months, do you think? And then it's that thing again.
And no one knew for 9 years. Like, no one knew.
That's right.
Yeah.
But again, it's the thing of, does it matter? Like,
no. It's all about that one night. It doesn't matter if they're in a relationship or not. It's just
in the context of watching this, it's just, it's great.
Isn't it, though?
It's really great.
And like,
what's great about it too is that for these two characters that kind of have semi-tragic backstories, I guess, and like recent semi-tragic backstories, is that I guess this night, at least if they don't rekindle this relationship and move on, it's kind of like it gives them a direction at least. You know, like they walk away with kind of like a purpose from that. Like he's at that point, like Jesse's like ready to go home. He's ready to go home, get his dog, and like move on with his life. You know.
Yeah.
And she is like, you know, ready to go back to school. Like the next week, and to like, you know, to move on, and it's I find her like such an interesting character in this film, like personally, just like how because she never really settles. No. Until there's a couple moments
like she's very like, you know, tumultuous, and you know she's always moving about and like
and it makes sense when you learn more about her, but like there's only like a couple moments that she really just kind of is like and those moments just like hit home for me. I was just like,
you see yourself in both these characters. Like,
exactly. I was going to say that I relate to both of these characters so much, you know. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
It's just brilliant. And then the final shot of the movie is fantastic because the camera just shows all the places they visited, but just as empty locations. And it's perfect. Because
it's perfect.
It shows like the grave that they visited and like the empty theme park and like the cafe and all that kind of stuff.
Especially those locations that we haven't seen during the day necessarily. So the sun's rising and you just kind of see them in literally a new light. And it's a moment, it's like you really feel the characters. It's like that moment of like that bittersweet moment of like that sadness of like, oh my God, that person's, you know, going across the world now. And then like that kind of like, and the sweetness in the sense of like, not that I'm necessarily going to see them again, but like, God, thank God I got off the train. You know what I mean? Like, it's, it nails it in that sense. Yeah.
So
let's get to Vienna.
Vienna, the tourism board is calling and it wants you. Vienna is beautiful though. So as someone who's been to Vienna in real life, go. It is extraordinary. Like go. That's all I can say. Just go. Now, Brenton, go. Like, drop the mic. Get out.
Guys, I'm out. Nathan's going to finish this podcast by himself.
Oh well, so guys, let's look at this film's poster. Brenton, at least close the door, like. So finally now that he's gone, let's talk about this damn poster, because. Well, what are you back in here for?
Nathan, I can't leave without talking about this film's poster.
Oh, I suppose. I mean, also you don't have your passport on you, like.
I mean, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Also, it's like very late. Like, I doubt the last. But like, you won't get a flight till tomorrow morning.
No.
Maybe we should walk around Sydney, and then you can catch your flight to Vienna.
Oh, let me turn the camera on. Let's go.
Let's do it. Could you imagine if they made an Australian version of this?
Oh my god!
Like the sequel's set in Sydney. Like,
how you going, Sheila? Not bad, mate.
I would love an Australian version of this. I reckon it'd be great.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
I think Sydney would be a good enough city to base this in. Like
Sydney or Melbourne? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
probably Sydney. Actually,
yeah, because you'd be walking around the Opera House and like the Harbour Bridge. It's all that like all around Darling Harbour because you could do Luna Park. You could go to Taronga Zoo. Like it's all in the same suburb. Like they could just catch the ferry back and forth and back and forth. Like,
a lot of interludes on the ferry. Yeah,
they could fall asleep in the botanical gardens.
I was actually thinking during this. I was actually thinking during this film like this would an Australian kind of version of this idea would be. Mwah. It'd be awesome.
It'd be molto bene. bene.
Mate, let's look at this film.
All right, yeah. So now let's actually look at this film's poster. Okay, so before sunrise, let me just open this poster. Okie dokie. So, here we go. Take a look at this bad boy.
Look at that
here.
shit.
This looks like the cover to like a romance novel. You know those like really shitty romance novels you see in like airport shops, like we have like the shirtless man, and it's just like like vanity, and it's all like some provocative name. It's like,
can the greatest moment of your life only last only one night?
Yeah, very sexual, isn't it? Like, could it last one night?
You know what? This is a pretty good poster, but I don't know if I love it for this film. I feel like it's too romantic for this film. If that makes sense,
because the film's not that romantic. Like it's romantic, but it's not like The Notebook. Like
that's what I mean. Like this feels a bit too dramatic. Let's say.
Yeah.
I'd even just rather like a poster of them on the streets of Vienna, like hand in hand. I
would rather be like a photo of the cow. Like it's like both of them sitting in the audience, like ooh, they're putting like a very puzzled look, and they're watching a cow on stage.
This is a very 90s poster.
It is very 90s, isn't it? Especially that font as well.
Yeah, but
I love the pose that Ethan Hawke has, like good on him. Like she's just like leaning over his like legs, and he's looking down at her. Like they look as though they're like ready to like sing and break into duet.
They do. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tiny bit dramatic for me, given that the film is just so genuine.
It's very obvious as well, having a sunrise in the background. It's like really like
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like some of the posters for the sequels better as well.
Same,
from memory. Yeah.
Unfortunately, given that these films are 9 years apart, well, it'll be a very long time before we can do a full episode on the sequels in this.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
9 years later, we'll get to it.
We'll be different. We'll be different people by then.
We will. Like maybe we'll have our own before trilogy every 9 years. Do an episode.
Oh my god!
There you go. But well, this was made in 95. So actually, 04 is the next one. So we're not that far off.
That was fun.
But they're both great, aren't they? The sequels. So 100% watch all three. Definitely worth it. So shall we pass it to the people?
Pass the power to the people, Nathan.
Let's just see what the people are saying. Brenton.
Give them the metaphorical baton and just let's go.
How about we mail them an actual baton? Like, listeners, just email us your home addresses. We'll send everyone who does it. We'll send you a baton.
Yep.
And it'll say, say
power to the people.
Power to the people. That's what it'll do. And you can all raise your batons when we get to this section
every week.
Every week. That's something we'll start. So on Rotten Tomatoes, the be all end all for critic reviews, it's got to score 100%.
Are you kidding me?
This is the first film we've done that has a perfect score of 100%.
Round of applause for Before Sunrise. Holy crap! Well done.
Well done. So they say, Brenton, it's a flawless film.
They say that no one dislikes this film.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't met anyone in real life who's seen it who's disliked it. I don't think I've talked to many people about Before Sunrise.
I don't think I could imagine anyone disliking it, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone disliked it.
I've got proof of it, Brenton. You just wait. So.
Okay.
So let's get into some reviews. So, David Nusair, he gave it 3 out of 4, and he said undoubtedly one of the most romantic movies of all time. Is this your favorite romantic movie?
No.
Oh, do you mind divulging that, or is that like?
Well, my favorite this isn't a rom-com. So this is like a romantic drama. But I'd say my favorite romantic movie is a rom-com, and that is When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah. This is in the same circle though. It's up there. Maybe number 2, but
I think my favorite romantic film is Step Brothers.
oh, that's a good choice. Yeah, that's
pretty good.
That's a good choice. Yeah. That bunk bed scene.
Oh,
my God.
I tell you,
I will be doing that with my significant other sometime.
I wish Step Brothers was older just so we could talk about it. But like,
I know, right?
Yeah.
Would we do the director's cut though? Or we'd just do the theatrical cut?
Oh no, we got to do the director's cut.
I think we have to. Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, so great romantic movie.
Yeah, it's up there though. Like I'd say, it's. I don't know if it's my favorite in the trilogy. Is the only thing.
Yeah, mine's actually probably the last one, the third.
Me too, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think they get better.
I agree. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because this first film's amazing, but like,
we're still in spoiler section, and we're not going to spoil the last film, but the last scene in the last film.
Okay, very brief spoiler alert for the ending of Before Midnight.
Yeah, I don't even want to like talk. I just want to say the last scene in the last film.
Oh yeah, like that last scene.
That is just oh my God, it's like full circle. It
really is, isn't it?
It's incredible. It's such an
yeah.
God.
And you know what I'll say about the sequels as well? They go in directions you don't expect.
That's right.
Like,
yeah,
because it's been 9 years between each film, so you're so curious as just what the hell they've been up to each 9 years.
Yeah, and
it's always something you don't expect, and you're just like when I started the second film, I'm like, oh, is that what happened?
Yeah,
like, they're like, that's what you two ended up doing, and you're just like, oh, okay. And then the same thing for the third film, and like,
yeah,
and that's why like the second film ends very conclusively, the third film ends very conclusively. So like, there didn't need to be any more sequels. There won't need to be a fourth film. But like, I worry because even though the third film ended very definitively, if they made a fourth film, it'd probably do something radically different with them again.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think
I don't know if they will.
Fourth?
I think it's a trilogy. I think it works as a trilogy. But in saying that, I'd love to stop in again with these two characters.
That's the thing. It's almost like when we do our Rocky episodes. It's just nice to see how they're going.
Exactly.
It's like, how you guys going? Like, how's your lives been? You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's great. John Nesbitt, he said, acting tour de force that feels exceptionally real, 4 out of 5.
Nice. Yeah. Can't disagree with that.
It is some of the best acting you'll see. It baffles me that there was no acting nominations in the Oscars for this.
For any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, come on. Because you got a screenplay
especially for that German couple at the start.
Oh, of course. Like, as a cow. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Well, they weren't a couple. They were just, maybe they were a couple. Who knows?
I don't know.
But Dennis Schwartz said it's the best pickup movie ever. You reckon? First date, second date, third date.
Is that the genre? Pickup movie? Like,
is that a genre? what would you consider a pickup movie? Like a Netflix and chill kind of movie?
I don't know. Like what is a pickup movie? I don't know. What other pickup movies what other films would you class as a pickup movie?
I don't know. Maybe. See, I've watched. I haven't done movies for dates really ever. Like, I've been in relationships and I watch movies with my girlfriends, but like, I've never like gone on like a first, second, third, or fourth date and be like, yeah, nah, let's put on this film and then let's hopefully do something afterwards. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. A pickup movie, maybe like to get you in the mood.
I think he's referring to the fact that there's a pickup. Like he picks up the girl in this and takes her into Vienna.
Yeah. Like literally pickup movies. Like, did they pick up in the film? Like, I guess maybe that's like a genre.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, but then like, what classes as a pickup film? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know
what Dennis is up to.
Dennis, you menace, what's going on, buddy?
Film W, he gave it 1.5 stars.
Oh, dear.
And Film said, hard to get through all the cringy conversations, but there's something there underneath, I think.
Holy shit. I wouldn't say anything's cringy in this film.
You know what? If it wasn't Ethan Hawke and Julie, I reckon with different actors, it probably wouldn't be that interesting.
No.
If he was poorly acted, dear God, the screenplay would not hold up. Like, yeah, it's entirely based on performance.
Oh, like that's what I mean. Like when I was saying like there's 3 kind of pillars, it's really true that they're pillars because everything is kind of intrinsically linked in this film.
Oh yeah.
Like if the actors aren't succeeding, then the screenplay kind of fails.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess what the film's trying to achieve, that real kind of realistic approach of just these are just people and we're just kind of stopping them with their lives, it'd just fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then last of the people's reviews, Aaron W gave it 3.5 stars, and Aaron said, cute romance, too much talking.
So what do you want them to do instead?
I reckon Aaron should have just watched Boogie Nights instead.
Fair enough.
That's what. Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh, I want to see a Boogie Nights and before Trilogy crossover. It's just
my god!
like,
you know what? I would be genuinely terrified if we stopped in with the Boogie Nights characters 9 years later.
Oh my god!
Because genuinely, I think half of them would be dead.
Oh, easily, easily dead.
Oh my god!
Oh
yeah.
But you know what? I kind of want a Boogie Trilogy now. What is it like? Boogie Nights, Boogie Days.
Before Boogie, in the middle of Boogie, after Boogie.
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Boogie Nights, Boogie Mornings, Boogie Lunches.
Yeah. Yeah, Boogie Nights, Boogie Days, Boogie Funeral.
Oh shit. Yeah, pretty much, hey.
God. I love it. So that's the people. And then title talk.
dude, these three films, perfect titles.
It is. That's the premise of the film. Like,
even without the sequels, Before Sunrise.
They are great titles.
Great title.
Before Sunrise. That's great because the sunrise happens and then the film keeps going. It's like,
yeah.
I'm glad it isn't like the sun rises and that's the last shot of the film. Because imagine how cliche that would be. Like,
could you imagine? It's like a crane shot on Vienna and then you just see the sun rise.
And you're just like, and it's like, and then like the sunrise, done. And then the title comes up.
It's like something fucking random happens at the end. It's like nothing. It's like that music starts like dun 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 dun, and then like this witch just like flies towards the Vienna, and you're like,
I'm thinking of like.
And it just cuts to black, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
I'm thinking like at the end of The Dark Knight when like he has that whole monologue and it ends like before sunrise, and so like it's like Ethan Hawke narrating on the train like, and Celine kept on going to France because it wasn't all about the night; it was about being together before sunrise, and then it's like his face looking out the train window, and then it goes done, and then like the credits start rolling. Like, oh, I'd love it.
Oh, dude, that Dark Knight ending's so good though. It's like, oh.
And then it's funny because then Chris Nolan repeated it for Dark Knight Rises. Like he's like, "Fuck it, let's just do it again." Like,
dude, yeah, like nailing it. Well, the Rises one, it's like, and they both they kind of have that like low angle shot, like looking up of like one's like the bat pod going up the ramp, and the other one's what's his name, Robin.
Yeah,
as the
Joseph Gordon-Levitt
kind of rises up. Yeah,
yeah. And I love that like monologue. It's like because the first one is like they'll hunt you. Oh, it's the convo between him and Gordon. Like
that's it. He's like because he's not the hero that Gotham he's the hero that Gotham deserves, but not the one that he needs right now. He's a silent protector, a silent guardian, a dark knight.
Yeah, so,
something like that.
And then and then Dark Knight Rises, it's like what is it?
There's no monologue. It's just like there's like different little
scenes,
snippets.
Like,
yeah, and like
there's like Morgan Freeman looking sad and Alfred just like weeping in front of a grave.
I failed you. You trusted me, and I failed you.
You do that so well.
I've buried enough members of the Wayne family.
Oh my god!
Goodbye, Alfred. Oh my god, yeah, dude. When in that scene, because it's like, Gary Oldman's like reading Tell Two Cities, and you know. And it's all very sad. Shuts the book, and then like Morgan Freeman pats Michael Caine on the shoulder, and you don't see Michael Caine's face, but you can just presume that the guy's, you know, pretty sorrowful, and he's probably grieving. And then it hard cuts to like his actual reaction to what like Morgan Freeman's just been watching when he patted him on the shoulder, and it's like it's Michael Caine in fucking like bawling his eyes out. I failed you.
And he's just losing his shit.
You trusted me, and I failed you.
And Morgan Freeman's like, yeah,
I'm sorry. Morgan Freeman's like, oh shit. Yeah,
I love it. And then and Gary Oldman's face when he realizes who Batman is, he's like, Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne. Oh, dude, like, what's funny about that is. By the way, spoilers for the whole Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, we should preface that. I'll put spoilers in the caption.
What was Bruce Wayne really the only child that he'd ever put like a coat around their shoulders? Like, could you imagine at Gotham PD?
Yeah.
Like how many bloody kids would come in and it's like, yeah,
that's so
like,
true.
My parents are like meth addicts and like, you know, I'm on the street, and he comes in and it's like, no coat for you, fuck you. Like
you're not Bruce Wayne.
You're not Bruce Wayne.
You're not a billionaire.
It's like, but he goes instantly. He goes, that was Bruce Wayne, and it's like, what?
I don't think he remembers that moment from like 20 years ago. It's like, What are you doing?
Yeah, he doesn't give any care to any other kids.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
kids that like have like a.
Maybe that's why his son became Joffrey Baratheon. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, I know. That wasn't his son. That was like a random like just kid that Batman saves in the first one. But when you see him now, you're just like, oh fuck, kill him now. You just run away.
Batman, put him in his grave, quick.
Yeah, but I love the scene where Batman goes to visit Gordon's son, and he's like, Did you see the Batman? And he's like, oh, Daddy actually saved Batman. And then Batman's just like standing there, just like watching
Batman's
the
like,
combat.
oi, you said what?
Oh, so yeah, great trilogy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Before Sunrise.
Two great trilogies, but the Before trilogy and the Dark Knight trilogy.
What's better? They're both great.
Yeah, they're both great. They're both great.
Doing
They're
different
both great for
things.
different reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Wouldn't Ethan Hawke make a great Batman?
like he'd be a really good Riddler.
Oh yeah, he'd make a great Riddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he'd be a good Riddler. What else could he? He could do Scarecrow. I reckon he'd be a great Scarecrow.
He could do a great Scarecrow. Yeah. What other villains are there in Batman?
Just type in Ethan Hawke Batman. I'm sure you'll get all this concept out on Google. Just
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like just like some random villain. Like Ethan
well, he was
Hawke is-
married to Poison Ivy, so like
True.
yeah. So there's Ethan Hawke's little Batman connection.
Ethan Hawke Clayface, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
the
Before
podcast.
Sunrise. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
really
listening,
enjoyed talking
guys.
about this with you, man.
Yeah, I loved
good
it
time.
too because it wasn't like it's not a. There's not much to talk about in that film, but we managed to do it, Brenton.
No, we did. We did. We talked about a lot of things.
So let's get a more. Let's talk about more things next week. I say more things next week, Brenton.
More things?
Yeah, there's
More things?
more things
Okay.
because we're going to be in New York and we got to do. I know we'll be in New York next week, but we got to do things.
Yeah, we're going to do things.
We as the Prime Minister would say, we got to get back to work. We'll throw
Oh,
back.
dear.
But yeah,
we'll see you guys next week. It's always a joy. It's always a pleasure.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Later.
No, I can't do it, damn it, Brenton. Let's keep podcasting.
Let's just do the other podcast. Let's do the next episode right now.
I can't leave you, no.
Next episode, let's go.
Daily
3,
podcast, let's do it.
1, just do the rant. Let's go.